Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I am doing a Harry Potter video. Now so many of you requested Harry Potter videos and I feel like almost all my videos on my channel, at least one comment is there asking for a Harry Potter video. So here you go. I'm making a Harry Potter video finally. So a few weeks ago I did a Q&A video under which I got a comment asking for me to rank the 7 Harry Potter books. So that's what I'm gonna do for you guys now. I'm gonna rank from my least favorite Harry Potter book to my most favorite. So yeah, let's just get started. Now, ranking these 7 Harry Potter books was hard for me to do because honestly, like all of them are 5 out of 5 stars for me. So it's just, I guess, like the kind of method that I used to rank these were, one, the kind of emotion I felt when I was reading the book, and two, I am going to go into some kind of like technicalities which I thought were a bit off in terms of like plot holes or things which, like, you know, when I've read it like 2 or 3 times and when I've read it as an adult, I've like noticed a few flaws in the book. So that's what I'm going to be using to rank them. So yeah, at number 7 we have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, this book does have some really great moments. For one of the Horcruxes is destroyed in this book, so like it is an important book within like the 7 Harry Potter books, and also it does have some really great characters, especially Gilderoy Lockhart. Like, I seriously love him. He's one of those characters who you just like, you hate him so much because he's so stupid and he's so vain, but he's just such a beautifully crafted character that you can't help but also like kind of like him. I don't know. He's a very strange character, but he's also one that's really well written. So yeah, this book does have some great aspects to it. But emotions wise, this is a book which to me just feels a bit meh compared to the other Harry Potter books for me. So like when it comes to me wanting to read a Harry Potter book, I just do not get drawn to the Chamber of Secrets because there's nothing in this book that like either made me cry a lot or laugh a lot or like really excited me. Like there was nothing in this book that really got me like interested to reread it, and I think because of that it is at number 7 on my list. Now at number 6 we have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Now, I know that this one might be a little bit surprising or controversial because I know a lot of people who really love the 7th book. I also like, I do really like it. I mean, like I said, all these books are like 5 out of 5 stars for me. But I feel like this book has a few flaws. Now, before we come to the flaws, in terms of emotions, this book had me crying like right from the first page, I feel. But I feel that there was a combination of all the things that happened in this book, like the number of characters that died, and also because like this was the last Harry Potter book. Like in 2007 when I read this book, I had no idea that we were going to get like Fantastic Beasts movies or that Cursed Child, no matter how bad it is, but like I didn't know that all these things were coming up in the Harry Potter fandom. For me, this was the end of Harry Potter, so reading this was so sad. Like there were times, especially when Hedwig died and Dobby died. I don't know why the two like non-human deaths affected me the most in this book, but when Hedwig died and when Dobby died, I literally had to like put the book down and just like step away for a while because it was so emotional for me to get through this book. But apart from the emotions, like when I'm coming to the kind of technicalities and flaws in this book, I just feel that this book was a bit too easy for our main trio. Like all the other 6 Harry Potter books were such a build up to like this final confrontation between Voldemort and Harry. And there was a whole thing about like having to destroy the Horcruxes, firstly having to find the Horcruxes and then finding a way to destroy them. Like there was so much that the trio had to do in this book, and I just felt that it happened a bit too fast and a bit too easily for it to be like realistic in that sense. Like I feel that there was such a huge build up in the first 6 Harry Potter books that this one could have easily been split into 2 books like how they did for the movies. Like I feel that there was enough content and enough adventure to be built into the story that maybe if this was split into 2 books, it might have felt a little bit more like realistic in that sense. At number 5 is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, this book will always have a magical place in my heart because it is where it all started. Especially the first line, Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. This line, I feel like whenever I'm down, whenever I feel upset, I just go back, I pick up this book and I read this line and I feel everything is okay. Like because of this, because this is the place where it all started, this book will always have a dear place in my heart. Apart from that, I feel again like this book has some flaws. One of them being conveniences. Like the amount of times that Hagrid slipped up and conveniently gave the trio the answers they needed. The second thing being like how Dumbledore conveniently went to the Ministry of Magic, and for the time that Harry, Ron and Hermione were under the trapdoor, that was the time that Dumbledore was away. And there are a lot of videos on this if you watch on YouTube. That was like a huge plot hole because the time that the trio was like through the trapdoor and the time that it would take for Dumbledore to go to the Ministry and come back, even if it was apparating from Hogsmeade, that time doesn't add up. So it's like, why didn't Dumbledore try to save them earlier? So there are all these things which are in the first book which are kind of flaws that you, like when you read it for the second or third time, you just be like, huh? Why did it happen this way? Like why didn't Dumbledore come back to save them earlier? Or how is it that 3 11-year-olds who are in their first year in Hogwarts, how could they actually survive all the curses and all the spells that like experienced teachers had put to protect the Philosopher's Stone? And how is it that like all like the spells or whatever that they had put in place were based on the strengths that the trio had? For example, Harry had to use the broom to catch the thing, and his strength is of course being a very good Quidditch player. Ron had to defeat the enchanted chess pieces, but he's a really good, like a master chess player. Like everything was very, very convenient. And I know this is a kid's book and it's supposed to be that kids are the heroes at the end of the day, but it's because of things like this that it is at number 5 on my list. Okay, so at number 4 we have Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Now this one undoubtedly is the thickest Harry Potter book, and I feel like usually this is everyone's least favorite Harry Potter book, but I just feel that this book is so underrated. Like honestly, it does not deserve the hate that it gets for like being the most boring or the longest or the most dragging Harry Potter book. Like seriously, Order of the Phoenix is a gem. Now when I was a teenager, like I think I was, wait, I've written the dates. Oh my god, my book is falling apart. But I've written the date when I got this book. I don't know if you can see it. It is 21st June 2003. Focus, here. 21st June 2003. So 2003 was when I got this book. So that means I was 14 years old when I read it. So when I read it as a teenager, as a 14-year-old teenager, I was really pissed at Harry's behavior in this book. Like I could not stand the way he spoke to Dumbledore. I could not understand why he was so angry. Like, you know, all the jealousy that he felt for Ron becoming a prefect and like all the angst that he was feeling. Like I felt really, really bad and I felt really, really angry reading this book when I was a kid. And I have to accept that as a kid, for me also, this was probably one of my least favorite Harry Potter books. But reading it as an adult, I feel so many of my feelings changed. What I guess like reading it as a kid, what I failed to understand is that Harry went through a huge traumatic experience at the end of book 4 in the graveyard where he saw Cedric Diggory die, and he almost, like he was this close to death but he escaped because of sheer luck. Like that is a lot to deal with, and I guess the PTSD of like, you know, watching a friend die and also escaping death by that much, and then also realizing that a teacher who you trusted turned out to be someone who's just this evil Death Eater, like that's a lot for a kid to take. And even Harry in this book is like 15 years old, and I feel like that's so much for a person to deal with, that even probably like anyone in Harry's position would have that kind of outburst or have that kind of like, you know, those kind of emotions, especially when the one person who you kind of look up to, which is Dumbledore, who completely ignores you. I feel like now as an adult, I can really understand why Harry behaved the way he did, and I really appreciate the kind of nuances of his character and nuances of the emotions he feels. I really appreciate the way that they are crafted in this book because I thought that they were really, really well done. The other thing that I really liked about this book was Umbridge. Oh my god, Umbridge is one of the most hateful characters ever written. Like she is just so hateful. I honestly hate Umbridge a lot more than I hate Voldemort. She's just the worst woman ever, and like I feel no other villain has given me that amount of hatred in my like inner being as Umbridge has. And she's just such a well-written, well-crafted character. Like honestly, she's like a highlight of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix for me, because she's just amazingly written. And the other things that I really like about this book is the foreshadowing in it. So when the entire gang is at number 12 Grimmauld Place, I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, wait. So when the gang is at number 12 Grimmauld Place, there is a line in this book where they say that they come across a heavy locket that nobody can open. And this is of course the locket which is the Horcrux that Regulus Black brings back to his home after finding it at the lake. So there is a foreshadowing for that which is in this book. And the other foreshadowing in this, is it in this book or in Goblet of Fire? And the other bit of foreshadowing in this book is, I feel like this book, like all the things that happens to Harry in this book and his connection with Lord Voldemort, is one of the biggest, was one of the biggest indications that Harry would be a Horcrux. So after we learn about Horcruxes in book 6, there was a huge theory before book 7 was out that Harry is actually a Horcrux. And a lot of the things came from the things that Harry experiences in Order of the Phoenix. But I feel like there was a lot of foreshadowing in this book that made it very interesting, especially at the time when I read it, because it helped to craft theories that in the end were proven right. Now we are on to our last 3 books. These 3 were honestly really hard for me to like arrange because all of them are just like so good. But if I have to choose, at number 3 we have, let me pick it up, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Firstly, Voldemort's backstory. Oh my god. There is like, I've mentioned this on my channel before, where I love a good villain backstory. Like I seriously like diving into the mind of villains, especially to find out what they think, what drives them, what are their motivations, how did they become these evil manipulator, how did they become these evil people who manipulate others and kill others? Like what led them to become this way? And the kind of insight that we get into Voldemort's life in this book is just amazing. Especially the story of his mother, Merope, is just so heartbreaking, and it really gives insight into what this child must have felt and how he went on to become one of the most dangerous and the most evil dark wizards of all time. And another thing that I really liked about this book, especially when I read it as a teenager, were all the romances. Oh my god, I absolutely loved it. Especially like the will they, won't they between Hermione and Ron. Like this book was the one that solidified that Hermione and Ron had feelings for each other. Like there's an instance in book 4, especially like about the Yule Ball, but where Hermione tells Ron basically that, you know, next time you should just ask me yourself instead of like wait for me to be the last person who you ask. So that like line kind of hinted that there was something between Ron and Hermione, but this book I feel like really solidified it. Like everyone was like, yes, definitely something is gonna happen between Ron and Hermione in the 7th book. So I really enjoyed that because I'm a huge Ron and Hermione shipper. And I also really loved the Harry and Ginny moments. I really love how in the book Harry just has these surge of emotions after winning the Quidditch Cup, and then he just goes and kisses Ginny in front of everyone in the common room, and everyone is just like, what the hell is going on? Like I really like that moment in the book, but in the movie they just made the kiss so strange and so weird in the room of requirement, and just like I hated it. But I really liked the romance between all the characters in this book, like all the teenage angsty stuff. I really enjoyed it while reading this book. And of course, like the last thing that I want to talk about this book, which absolutely shattered all fans especially, was the fact that Dumbledore dies in this book. I feel like, yes, we had Cedric dying in book 4, we had Sirius dying in book 5, which was a huge deal, but Dumbledore dying was like something that I felt no Harry Potter fan expected. Like absolutely no fan expected Dumbledore to die, because he's the one thing that would have protected Harry in the 7th book, like, you know, would have made it easier for Harry in the 7th book. And the fact that he was gone just made everything seem a lot more difficult and a lot more daunting for Harry in book 7. So that was a moment that, like, I will never forget. And of course I was spoiled. Like, one of my friends spoiled me for the ending of Dumbledore dying. But even then, like, it was something that really, like, I could not believe that it had happened. And it was one of the most shocking, like, revelations in the entire Harry Potter series. So yeah, for all these reasons, this is at number 3 on my list. Now, at number 2, we have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So now it took about 2 days of reading between my school and tuitions and homework and studying and whatever to read about half the book. But the remaining half of this book, I remember reading it in like half a day. I could not put it down. It was so amazing. Like, this book, I think I did a video on plot twists, like my books with the best plot twists. I forgot to put this book in that list because this book is just like plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, especially at the end. Oh my god. Like, firstly revealing that Sirius Black and Lupin were friends. Secondly, revealing who the Marauders map, like the actual writers of the Marauders map, who they were. Thirdly, then revealing that Sirius Black is actually good. Fourthly, revealing that the Scabbers, the rat that has been in, like, sleeping with Ron in his bed for this entire time, is actually a human and is Peter Pettigrew, and he's actually a Voldemort supporter. Fifthly, revealing that Lupin is a werewolf. Sixth is the showdown between Snape and everyone at the end. It's just like absolutely crazy. And then seventh, revealing the time turner and that Hermione has been traveling back in time, and then they go back in time, they save Buckbeak. Like, oh my god, the amount of things that happen at the end of this book is just crazy. Oh, I forgot to mention Professor Trelawney's actual prophecy, like her second prophecy, which comes true. Like, there is so much stuff that happens in this book, and I feel like this book, even though Voldemort is not a part of this book is just, it's just amazing because, like, it is the start of the end, basically. Like, this is where it all starts. This is where Pettigrew, like, basically runs away, brings Voldemort back, and where everything kind of unfurls. And that's why this book is so amazing, especially I feel in retrospect, like when you read the entire series, you realize how important this book is. And it was such an amazing read when I was reading it for the first time. Like, oh, it was so good. All the plot twists, everything that was revealed in this book was just gold. And at number 1, you guys should have already realized by now what it is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This book will forever remain my number 1 Harry Potter book just because of the amount of things that are in this book that I love. Firstly, I loved the Triwizard Tournament. Like, honestly, I feel there are so many books after this, fantasy books, which had this element of like 3 people or like 3 countries, 3 realms fighting against each other to become the champion. I feel like the Triwizard Tournament was kind of like the first one that did that, or at least it was the first one that I ever read that did that. And I love that concept. I love the concept of having like magic versus magic. You need to outsmart the other person with your magical skills. You have to showcase what your magical skills are. I love that aspect about the Triwizard Tournament, and I really enjoyed reading it, especially about all the different tasks. Secondly, what I really like about this book, that this is when shit gets real. Like, you know right from the first chapter that firstly, Voldemort is becoming stronger than ever. There are like little feelers in this book that things are amiss, something is going wrong and something is going to happen. And you know that Voldemort is going to come back, like right from the first chapter. And because you had Professor Trelawney's prophecy at the end of book 3, you know that like shit is going to go down in this book, and it really does. Thirdly, this is the first book where we had a death in the Harry Potter books, and I feel like that really hit hard, because till then I'd read books where characters had died, but like not not in the brutal way that Cedric is murdered in this book. So yeah, like it was intense and I did not expect it. And yeah, it really hit hard. And fourthly, the plot twist at the end where it is revealed that Moody is Barty Crouch Jr. Like, I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. And the explanation and just the way the entire story comes together at the end for me was just mind blowing. Like, it blew my mind as a kid, and every single time I read it, it just blows my mind again and again. The way the plot is kind of woven and the way it all comes together at the end of this book. So that is why this is my #1 favorite Harry Potter book of all time. So yeah, that was my video for today, where I have ranked the 7 Harry Potter books. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know what your ranking is. In which order would you rank the Harry Potter books, and which is your favorite Harry Potter book and why? I would love to know and continue the discussion with you guys down in the comments below. And of course, if you like videos like these, then do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.